name's Bryttanye, but I go by ArtbyQBii online. That's all of my social stuff is ArtbyQBii. As for my comics, I started tabling in 2017, doing stickers and prints. I expanded to apparel and like enamel pins and charms, and then more recently I've started doing my comics. Paint is my longest running one. It's been going on for 3 years. It's still ongoing. But we're getting close. We're over the halfway mark. So the end is in sight. But yeah, no, I write and draw all of my comics, the long form ones as well as the short ones that are up there. And I do all of the art that's on the table, even down to the apparel. The only thing that I don't do is some of the manufacturing stuff, so I obviously like send stuff out to get done, but all of everything is 100%.
What would you say to young children and teenagers who would like to get into illustrations and comic book writing?
I think keep practicing, like keep at it. Like there's there are always going to be people who are like, well, you know, kind of go for the big two, like, you know, if you want to work for Marvel or DC or stuff like that, and that's fine if that's your goal, but you know, the story that you want to write or the story that you want to see, things that you want to see, stick with that. Especially now, there's a lot more options for self-publishing, getting stuff printed, and then, you know, there's always going to be an audience for whatever you want to write. Like, without fail, you just have to find them. And once you find them, they'll be there to read your stuff, to tell you how much they appreciate it. Like, I like ghost stories, and I like, you know, watching ghost stories, reading ghost stories, watched ghost shows and stuff since I was a kid, all that sort of creepy stuff, but, you know, reading a lot of books when I was younger, didn't see a lot of people that looked like me having those adventures, or at least being centered in those adventures. And that's kind of how Hate came about. I wanted to have a Black female character kind of in the center of all of this sort of ghost shenanigans that are happening. And then, you know, so instead of waiting for it to happen, I wrote it myself. But yeah, there's whatever story that you want to write and see made, there's going to be people out there who are also going to want to see it be made and want to read it. So, you know, pursue that idea and don't be swayed away from drawing something that means something to you.
Are you local? Where are you from? And is this like a passion project that you do part-time, or is it your full-time thing?
So when military brat, so lived here in North Carolina the longest, or here in Durham the longest, got married during the Panini times and moved up to Virginia. So I like coming back to this area because this is where I started tabling and where a lot of people who know me for my art still are. Even though like I've gone to other places and stuff, this is kind of where I started, so this is where like a bulk of the people who supported me are from. Also thanks to the Panini, like before the pandemic started, I was doing this in conjunction with a full-time job, and then was in fact laid off from my full-time job during the pandemic, and had one of those sort of come to Jesus moments where it's like, I'm never gonna have this much time to dedicate to this again, so let's see where it goes. And so I've been doing this. This has also led to other opportunities at like other shows where like illustration companies have seen my stuff and added me to their roster of artists. So I have like freelance stuff that I do as well in conjunction with coming to events. So it's just kind of that as Bob Ross would say, happy little accident. Like it just kind of, like it just kind of has ballooned from there. And so this is primarily what I do. This, in conjunction with freelance illustration and stuff, is what I do for work.
Going to where you are now, what are some of the challenges you had to overcome to really see this come to where you see it now?
For challenges, I would say that initially it was finding information, like how do I sign up for stuff? How do I, where do I go to get stuff made? And in the beginning, I kind of met a lot of frustration where people weren't sharing that information. Thankfully, though, it feels like that attitude has kind of changed. A lot more people are more open with their resources. I know that I am. Anytime any up-and-coming artists or other artists ask me, it's like, oh, where do you get your books printed? Oh, where do you get your stickers done? I am very quick to tell everybody because, it's you kind of. You start doing this long enough, you recognize people, you kind of form a community, we're all looking out for each other, so there's really no reason for me not to share, oh, well, this is why I use this, and if you want to use this person, then, you can. If you don't, then you find something that works better, that's great. I think just in the beginning, it was figuring out how to get into shows, what the application process was, what it looked like. And then some shows, it's just, unfortunately, there's that financial barrier. Some shows, depending on their size, their tables are more expensive. And so, usually I've suggested to people that if they're starting out, try and find local shows that are small. Something where the table runs maybe $100. And it's for the weekend. Don't try and jump into maybe a $400 a show an event where the table's $400 for the weekend, because that's a lot. But start, and as you start to grow, then you can expand out to those larger shows that have a little bit more expensive cost, or start traveling. I started out, doing small local shows around here, and last year I drove with my husband to Chicago for an event, and the farthest I've been so far is I got into Emerald City Comic-Con 2 years ago, and so we flew out to Seattle, and that was a whole experience. So it's okay to start small and kind of figure out, so that you also get to learn how setup works, how travel works, what items you want to bring with you, and everything. And then from there, you can expand and go bigger.
Nice. How can people find your work?
I'm pretty much ArtbyQBii on multiple social media platforms. So I'm on Instagram, I have Facebook, I have my website. It's all under the same name, and so you can, if you follow me on Instagram, there's a link in my bio that also links out to all of my other stuff as well.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate it.